How are you doing, Tom?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
10 o'clock, I will call to order the Thursday, August 7th meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee. I assume all members have had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting. If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Support.
It's moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign, motion carries. Finance reports.
You will find your finance report in your packet under project income statement year to date through July 31st of 2025. And you will see that you have a cash fund balance of $94,333. If there's any questions, I will attempt to answer them.
Questions of the finance report? Hearing none, we'll move down to the sheriff's report.
Good morning. I believe you have the sheriff report in front of you, and just wanted to touch on a couple of things. The fair went pretty well, and so we did security for the first time at the fair, other than our normal having people there, and it went well. There were some learning things on both sides, and so we look forward to next year and sitting down and working with the fair board. So. A couple other things, staffing, just an update on our staffing is in there. That's all subject to change. It seems to change quite often, but we are happy that we were able to get the last money from M. Coles to send one of our new hires to the academy. So that worked out very well. It was literally last minute, and I think we were one of the last 2 or 3 that were able to get that financed. So that's a great thing. A couple of we had a retirement, a promotion, and our animal control officer Dave Borton got his 30 years in. So we wanted to recognize him for that. Lastly, real quick, I will be putting out a press release probably today. One of the things, as you remember, we used some of the ARPA money for our intake and totally revamping our intake, and it turned out fantastic. One of the other things that we were working on with intake is a lot of times, well, most of the time, we get a lot of phone calls into intake. Questions like, is so-and-so in jail? What are the charges? How much is bond? When does he go to court next? All of these same questions over and over again. So we were able to work with a few of our vendors to make that into a automated phone tree. So if someone calls up and wants that information, you know, a lot of times our intake officers are busy either booking people in, releasing them, somebody coming back from court. So this will enable them to get that information without having to speak with anybody on it. So we're looking forward to rolling that out here probably next week, I believe, next Thursday. So
Questions of the sheriff? Commissioner Krebsman.
Sheriff, I want to commend you and your staff for their duties at the fair. It was quite impressive. I'm not sure if the numbers were higher this year as far as staffing goes, but their presence was felt everywhere, and the community members enjoyed seeing them and mingling with them. And I was there for many days, and I've been to many fairs recently, and so thank you for all the work that you and your team did.
thank you. I will definitely pass that on. They worked very hard and put in a lot of hours.
I concur with that. They were very visible out there. Everywhere we went, it seems like there was somebody there. So good job.
Excellent.
Sheriff, I asked you in the staffing, you said you were 2 short, you have 2 in the academy. Will those 2 give you full strength on road patrol?
No,
Are you
those
counting that?
did not. Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, prosecuting attorney.
You guys should have my report in front of you. Bob has been busy in the economic crimes unit. The jail reimbursement fees are down a little bit, but we are working on getting those caught back up. Other than that, anybody have any questions?
Questions of the prosecutor? Thank you. Hearing none, Public Defender.
We've submitted our report. It indicates, actually that our felonies decreased by 9 cases, and that's kind of unusual this time of year. Usually our felonies and crime goes up, but, I guess that's good news that we actually went down. So any questions?
Questions to the Public Defender's Office? Can I assume the decrease is because the cases have been adjudicated out or?
I don't know. Usually it jumps significantly in June, July, and August, and I'm kind of surprised to see it went down.
I'm just waiting for the hammer.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe Jackie's been sloughing off.
Coming.
Questions? Very good. Hearing none, we'll move to emergency management.
My reports have been submitted and I'll answer any questions.
Questions on emergency management? Very good. Hearing none. Medical examiner. You're on, doctor.
Good morning, everyone. I think before you, they gave you the May. I've actually got the total up to July, so I'll just mention some of the data there. The total cases to date as of the end of July is 169, and we've done a total of 46 autopsies here in Lenawee. Statistically, I have projected that we're going to be approximately 290 total cases for the year, and the projected number of autopsies will be 79. And that ends up being about 27% of our cases that we investigate that we do autopsies on. For the month of July, we saw a total of 26 cases. 85% were natural, 4% were accidental, and 4% was suicidal. And of those, as of July, 54% were male, 46% female. The interesting thing is, I think, to look at the age distribution. And in the month of July, 100% of our deaths that we investigated were over the age of 50, 92% over the age of 60, 73% over the age of 70, and 27% over the age of 80. So we're primarily dealing most of the time with an elderly age group, and the majority of those are natural. 58% were home investigations, 35% were healthcare investigations, and only 8% were investigated at the scene. One of the things that a couple of things that I want to say is that even though the 3 counties, Jackson, Lenawee, and Hillsdale, has not formalized a regional functioning, our regional medical examiner's office, we function in the office as a regional, and we keep track of each county's expenditures. Recently, we had the Hillsdale victims support team, advocate team come for a visit of the morgue. And one of the things that I would implore you to do is to consider coming and seeing how we function. And our office is always open for a tour and to discuss issues. Most of the time I'm available 24/7, except when I'm in the hot tub. A couple of things that we have proposed and that we have submitted to Jackson County is that two additional positions to the medical examiner's office. A lead medical examiner field investigator that will be full-time, that will be in charge and monitor, ensure quality assurance, reviewing records from our field investigators. And then a part-time lead pathology assistant that will be taking care of the morgue itself, facilitating the needs of the process of the pathologists, ordering supplies and everything. Right now, Sarah Palmani and Tim Black order all of that. And you wouldn't believe how busy that is, and it takes them away from the other administrative issues and makes it very difficult for us to complete some of the other administrative stuff that we need based on our request. And with the child death review teams for 3 counties, opiate fatality review committees for the 3 counties, and also the future proposed elderly fatality review committee that people are talking about takes our administrative staff, Sarah and Tim, from, their other duties and involved there. The one thing is Sarah and Tim Black, in Jackson. They're part of the medical examiner administrative meeting that meets every 2 months, and that includes Oakland-Macomb County, representatives from Oakland-Macomb County, Western Michigan Med, which is 13 counties, Mid-Michigan, medical examiners, 14 counties, Kent County, Sparrow, 5 counties, Wayne, and then Jackson, Lenawee, and Hillsdale. Those are all administrative people that discuss, share their ideas, the issues that we're all experiencing in the office. And the one rule is no physicians are allowed in that. So if there are any questions, I'll be available. Sarah and I can answer any of those questions.
Questions to the medical examiner? Well, I have a couple. You just indicated one of these groups is 14 counties.
Yeah, one of the groups is 14 counties. I don't know how they're organized that way and how they share things, but I've been a proponent that we need to regionalize and share resources and make things as affordable for each of the counties as we possibly can, and to standardize, what we're doing in all 3 counties.
My second question, you said you just talked with Jackson, excuse me, Jackson County about 2 new positions.
Yes.
Are you asking that they be in Jackson's budget?
Oh, no, what happens is that they function, as I said earlier, we function as a region. So it's going to be the impact is going to affect all 3 counties. And actually, when they figure out their pay for them, it will be shared by all 3 counties.
Okay, very good.
The one thing that I did want to, a couple of things I wanted to add is even though we're functioning as a regional, in the proposal that I had submitted, a year ago, 2 years ago, that we have a representative from each of the counties, appointed by the county commission. I would request that someone from Lenawee. I've also mentioned it to Hillsdale, and I'm going to mention it at the next Human Services in Jackson, so that we have a committee so that Tim, myself, and Sarah can share the issues that we have and what's happening around. So with each of the counties, so that each of the counties have a say in that, and then they can report back, to you as things are developing in a timely fashion.
Very good.
And then the last thing is Craig knows about the book that we wrote on mass gathering medicine, with a lot of influence from Michigan International Speedway and Lenawee County and Jackson County. I was one of the editors of that book, and on October 1st and 2nd, I will be a guest speaker in Saudi Arabia at an international mass gathering speaking. Considering, and one of the lectures is the lessons learned at Michigan International Speedway.
Oh, very good.
So,
Commissioner Unks?
Dr. Mano, it sounds like you guys are running informally as a regional, but what will it take to run formally as a regional?
the county is to,
Mr. Murphy, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I think I probably could. I was going to before, but I don't think you saw my hand. So there are representatives of Jackson, Hillsdale, and Lenawee that have been meeting for quite some time now. This concept of regionalization came about, quite frankly, with a prior medical examiner also. So these have been in discussions for quite some time. Over the last couple of months, I've met on a regular basis with representatives from the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners. They do not have a county administrator, so they have two individuals that have been appointed to this particular topic. Previous to that, we had a proposal that came from Dr. Mano that was sent to our corporation council as a potential agreement that we could utilize moving forward. We have received their comments, and both Hillsdale and Lenawee have been meeting to kind of go through there to see is there anything additional that we would like to see included in that agreement. We just met this week with another meeting and developed a few more questions. We meet early or mid-August, I don't remember the exact date right now, with the Jackson administrative team. So at this point, the administrators and then the two representatives from Hillsdale County are meeting to hammer out the details and the financial aspects of what this could potentially look like. Once we have something that we have preliminarily agreed to, then that proposal will be brought back to each of the municipalities for review and potential discussion and ultimately some sort of approval. Dr. Mano is correct. They are doing a lot of work right now as if it is a regional authority. The question earlier about the individuals that may or may not be hired through Jackson County do directly impact Lenawee and Hillsdale County. Currently, we pay rent for the space that we have at the morgue, and that rent is inclusive of a lot of different factors. And then that is prorated off of the number of autopsies that are done on an annual basis and then prorated back to the municipalities. There's a lot of things in that procedure that we are trying to work out and change to create what we feel will be more efficiencies. We're just not there quite yet, but we are getting very close. I don't know if it'll be called a regional authority or what the title effectively will be, but it does also include an advisory committee, as Dr. Mano indicated. What we are currently proposing will be 2 members from each municipality would be representative on this advisory committee, thereby giving each county what they feel would be fair say and membership in how the Office of the Medical Examiner is actually conducted and what those responsibilities would look like. So we're still working through some of the detail of that, but there will be more to come.
Good. Mr. Van Dorn, do you have a question?
Well, those were some of my same questions that pretty well clarified it. So the new positions are not there yet?
No, they're not.
That's why I was wondering what the approval process was for those 2 positions. Okay.
It's proposed to increase the efficiency of our office and to spread the work so that we can do more of the administrative and reporting.
And that'll go back to the advisory group and the decision will be made because
The-
we're all going to share in the cost of that.
No.
Yes, I'm not well, I can't say that I'm not a politician, but technically I am as the medical examiner. But my ideas of how we need to share things differ from, the various rules of how the counties do things in determining the finance, because I believe in a simpler way rather than based on the number of autopsies, prorating based on the number of autopsies, because that is unpredictable and varies from month to month, year to year. I think that a better formula would be based on the on the county's population.
Administrator Murphy, do you have a question?
To answer your questions, Commissioner Van Doren, no, we do not specifically have say on whether those employees will be hired or not. Those would be Jackson County employees. A result of the hiring of those employees would impact our rental rate. Much like in the past, you had heard a report that there were improvements being planned at the morgue, a new floor, potential expansion, that sort of thing. I indicated earlier that there are a number of things that make up the rent that both of the other counties pay. Improvements such as those, expenditures on personnel that are utilized by all three counties are included in that. That's why it's important that we get this advisory committee established. It's not established yet. So any say on whether a person is hired or not through Jackson County is at the discretion of the Jackson County process and how that works. As Dr. Mano just applied or indicated, and I had stated that the current the formula to determining how that prorated share of expenditures are distributed is based on autopsies. I agree with Dr. Mano. I don't know that that's the best formula, but I do understand why that formula was created. And that is another thing that the administrative team that has been talking about this contract have been looking at. Are there other formulas that we could use to plug and play, if you will, the annual cost that would not have such a variable and would allow each of the municipalities, each of the counties to budget more accurately for the expenses that are coming? So we're still working through all of those.
Further questions? Thank you, Doctor.
You.
All right, next on is courts. I don't see anybody here from the courts. All right, we'll move to Murray Spear Campus.
First thing, I'd like to recognize 3 of our staff who have been nominated for the Youth Specialist of the Year, secure and non-secure. Juan Hernandez has been an employee in the secure unit for 2015, since 2015, and this is his 5th time winning this award. So basically every other year. Juan does a great job at the campus. He spearheads a lot of things outdoors with the kids, a lot of projects, a lot of the landscaping and a lot of the things that the kids do out there. He's in charge of gardening and he does a great job with that. Juan also speaks fluent Spanish and has been in a very I want to say unique position lately with some residents that we've had. So he's been a great help with that for sure. Tammy Coley, who works in the secure unit, she's worked with us since 2011. Obviously, working with kids in detention is short term, obviously. So you got to make a huge impact on those kids in a short period of time. And Tammy does have the ability to do that. And we appreciate her very much. And we also have a support staff of the year who is our nurse, Amanda Williams. She's been with us since 2020. I offered her a position in 2020 and she turned it down. And the next day I called her and asked her maybe if she would reconsider, and she did, and she took the job, and she's been with us ever since. And I couldn't imagine not having a nurse, obviously, at the campus. I mean, taking care of all the medical needs and the doctor's appointments, and it's a lot, and dealing with the family. So we appreciate her very much. As summer comes to a close, I just want to kind of give you a little idea of the things that are happening at the campus and have happened. Residents have been attending CSI again, and that's the Center for Science Industry in Hudson, and they are taking the building trades class there. So they've been doing that on and during different weeks and times during the summer. And then we also did that in detention for the kids that are there. So they've been able to do the same things that on campus that the kids are able to go to CSI and open unit. Summer school at the ISD, we did auto body class. We did basic auto service class, and we took a culinary class again this year, and that was a 2-week class, and they all earned their food handler's license. Something I'd just like to share real quick. I received a letter from the LISD, an email after the culinary class, and it said, "We wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for sharing your students with us these past 2 weeks. What a wonderful group of responsible, respectful, and hardworking students they are. Each brought a positive attitude and enthusiasm to learn. They conquered every skill that was taught, and we are happy to report that they all passed their food handler's test. So we enjoyed having them and look forward to continuing to offer this camp again next year. We would also like to thank the staff for their support in the classroom. It is refreshing to have adults that are so hands-on and lead through example. So it's really nice to be recognized as far as the kids and staff. Open unit residents just continue to do everything in the community that they always have. We do the Kiwanis flags, the track, any kind of community work pretty much that comes, we try to make available. We also were, TLC called after the fair and they had purchased a pig at the fair and they had it processed and wanted to donate it to the campus. So we received that last week, so we're very appreciative of that. And as you know, I just in closing, the most important thing obviously that happens at the campus, I think, is therapy. Obviously for these kids, topics pertain to each individual youth on what's going on in their situation and why they're there, whether it's, you know, behaviors impeding their progress or mental health or family issues. And therapy happens daily at the campus, everywhere where we're at. You know, some therapy happens at the ISD when we're in school. It happens in the wing, it happens outside. So the staff continue to work very hard at that. The last thing, we are on track to graduate our fourth kid this year. We graduated 3 during the regular school season or school year, and we basically do school pretty much year round. We do E2020, which is all of the kids have the opportunity to catch up, work at their own pace and finish a class, get back to where they're supposed to be. So we had a resident in detention this year that was is going to be able to complete that probably by next week, and we'll be graduating. So that'll be we've never graduated 4 kids before, so that's super. We're proud of that. So thanks. Any questions?
Question, yes, sir.
I just want to commend you and your staff. Sounds like a lot of good things going on there. So keep up the good work.
And it continues, you know, the progress on the campus obviously continues. We're getting closer on the expansion, and we have scheduled a lot of trainings and a lot of security things that are coming up. Things started real fast and then they moved right along and now they're really picking up again. So it's been busy. So thanks.
I'm sure the anxious level goes up and up as it gets closer to finish.
Yeah, I've been, you know, that's another thing. I kind of been scheduling tours about 3:30 because as the workers have, a lot of them, it's not as many workers there that there was before. So it's a good time to go in and show everybody because, you know, usually by 3:30, 4 o'clock, they're leaving. So everybody is very anxious. And if you haven't seen it, you should see it. And it is amazing to be a part of that. It's pretty impressive for sure.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
I am just curious about the numbers. So how many residents have at the campus and how many?
Mike.
It's on,
Oh.
sorry. And how many in county versus out of county? If you have them.
I don't have my numbers with me, but it's probably pretty equal, I would say. You know, there's probably a few more in-county kids than out-of-county kids. Recently, Monday, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services kicked off a new program that every week I log in and tell how many beds we have available. And then that goes out to distributed to all the counties. So they have the ability to look and say, Mauriceburg campus has a bed available. Would you be able to? So last week was the first week. So how did it go? 2 kids. So we got 2 out-of-county kids from that. So
I don't know the exact number, but it struck me that when we had the annual meeting for the Mauriceburg Campus Committee, it was about 50-50. It was about
Yeah.
an even ratio.
it's pretty
Okay.
close for sure.
Commissioner Krasny.
That's what I was going to say, Chairman Collins. It was about 50-50, if I recall the number correctly from the annual meeting, which I was going to mention. Thank you for hosting us all there. Seemed very productive. And thank you for pushing the skilled trades on your residents there. I recall my first ever visit there several years ago when I first joined the Board of Commissioners. And one of the residents there, as a background and family background, was in building and materials and stuff like that. So it seems like a great thing to let them know that there are tremendous opportunities once they leave your facility.
Further questions, comments? Thank you, Ed. Okay, the October meeting. Is there a reason we have it on the agenda?
Yes, that is on the agenda because at a minimum, Administrator Murphy and myself will be attending the MAC, or the Michigan Association of Counties Conference, starting September 30th and ending, September 30th, ending October 3rd. So we will not be present for the next regularly scheduled Criminal Justice Committee meeting. There may also be commissioners who will be attending that conference. So we propose that we move this next meeting back 1 week to October 9th.
Let me bring up the calendar here real quick.
Uh,
Commissioner Van Dorn.
Yeah, with that being said, are we gonna look at all of the meetings? I mean, and would we be pushing Ways and Means and the commission back 1 week? Because it all falls in place, it would work, so.
That's correct. It's proposed, and you'll see on all the future agendas that you'll have this very thing on the updates and other business. You'll have to address the October meeting.
Good, thank you.
What date are you looking at?
We were looking at moving it to October 9th, which is again, just 1 week.
Right.
Yeah, on their regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, I already have it scheduled.
The sheriff had a
Very good. Sheriff,
That is also the day that we have chiefs meeting.
on
What's that?
the 9th or? which-
Yes, the 9th. Yeah. So the first Thursday is always criminal justice. Second Thursday is always police chiefs meeting. So
And what time does that meet?
9 o'clock. So we may be able to get here,
It's
hopefully.
on the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else? Any other updates or business for this committee? Any other updates or business for this committee? If not, I'll move to public comment.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gary Ward, and I'm with Crime Stoppers of Lenawee. And we're here Bill Wise, the president of Crime Stoppers, and myself are here to tell you about the gradual disband of the program. We've had some issues with the Crime Stopper program locally by the reduction of the police agencies requesting our assistance to send out requests for information. We are still receiving tips, but the requests that we're getting are so sporadic. We will get one and maybe it's 6 months or longer before we get another one. And we found that the program has become very inactive. As most of you don't know is that Crime Stoppers was actually started in 2003 by Sheriff Larry Richardson and a group of community leaders who formed a group and decided that we needed to give the community the opportunity to work with law enforcement, media, to be able to send tips in and to submit them tips and things anonymously. So it may help investigators solve cases. The program was offered to all Lenawee County police agencies, fire departments, probation and parole officers, and the organization was monitored and ran by the group of community leaders. There was no law enforcement involved in the program, and the sheriff and a designator from the sheriff department, which was a detective that served as the coordinator, attended the board meetings as a guest and were able to give us some input. The program is closing down not because of lack of funds, but because of the cooperation by the police departments. We found that, and this is nationwide and all over, that as states, counties, cities, villages, and townships create their own social media pages, they're using those pages where normally Crime Stoppers would step in, they're using those pages to request information, therefore not using us. One of the most important things that we're here for is we want to make sure that we thank all of the people that have been part of the program that probably most of you have no clue. First of all, we'd like to thank the county. And the county provided housing and 2 phone lines for Crime Stoppers to be able to use. There was a local phone number and an 800 number. You, as the board, took and paid for those costs. You also housed the phone service. You allowed the IT department to maintain and service that. And you also allowed the dispatch center, because they were a 24-hour-a-day operation, to go ahead and accept them tips. We need to thank the sheriff department and the sheriff, three of them, Sheriff Richardson, Sheriff Welch, and Sheriff Bevere, for allowing the dispatch to be able to take those calls and to be able to be part of the program. We also owe them thanks for assigning a detective to be the coordinator of that program. And you say, why is that important? Well, the reason that's important is those tips come in. And when those tips come in, the dispatchers take them. And we also had an online service that we used that started about 8 years into the program. And those tips are then forwarded to the coordinator, the detective. That detective reads those tips and makes sure those tips get forwarded to the proper agency so they can act on them. I can tell you that I became the coordinator when the program started. I served as that coordinator for 18 years until my retirement. At that time of my retirement, Sheriff Bevere appointed Deputy Detective Dale Sharp to take over for me. And Dale is currently that coordinator coordinating those tips. The other thing is that we need to thank the IT department for not only servicing the phones, but allowing us to use the county email system. Because with the web link that we had, those tips were sent in, then they were sent directly to myself, Mike Shadbolt, who's also on the board, and Dale Sharp. And we reviewed those tips, and most of the time Dale dealt with them, but in his absence, if he was on vacation or something was going on, Mike and I shared that responsibility, and we were allowed to use the system to forward those tips to the police agency. Even if it was 3 o'clock in the morning and my phone made that ding, and I would get up and answer or look at the tip, and we would forward that tip to the proper agency. And if that tip was very important and required immediate attention, we followed that up with a phone call to either dispatch to relay on to the officer working, or we relayed it on to that police department. This program has allowed witnesses, victims, and people the ability to work with law enforcement. I can tell you, as being an investigator for 20 years, just like Larry was, that sometimes when we go out and we're investigating scenes and we're talking with people, we know that those victims, and Jackie will probably agree with me, sometimes those victims know more than what they actually tell us because they fear what could happen to them or how it makes them look. The other thing is as an investigator, I learned through Larry that sometimes investigators, when they're interviewing people and they're talking to people, they offend the victim. They offend the witnesses. And all of a sudden those people say, you know what? I'm afraid they think I did something, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to back off. This program allowed those people to be able to submit a tip that we could forward to that law enforcement agency to use. Yes, 90% of the time it couldn't be used in court, but as a trained investigator, it give us another avenue and a place to look and a way to go. And another suggestion where we might have got tunnel vision going down this road, and all of a sudden this tip comes out and it's like, I never thought that. So I want to make sure that the dispatchers are thanked. I want to make sure that Justin Frost, who was a community policing officer at the time that Larry implemented the program, is thanked because he helped that board set up this program. He did talks out in the community when he went out doing neighborhood watch things and talks with the community. And the other thing is we want to thank the local media. The media understood the program. They went out, they helped us keep this stuff anonymous. And the other thing that you might say, well, did it really do any good? I can tell you, yes. And It just gave us as investigators another avenue to look into things so we could further the case. And can I say how many cases Crime Stopper solved? Not really, because we don't really know, but sometimes the police departments didn't refer back to us when we sent tips saying this led to the arrest, or if the person didn't want a reward, we didn't get that return, so we didn't pay out rewards. But we paid out thousands of dollars in rewards over the 22 years the program was operational. So the game plan is, I've sat down with the sheriff and his staff, and we've kind of come up with a game plan to temporarily slow the progression of the closing down to hopefully we can have something in place when the program does shut down to continue the 2 tip lines. My advice to this board is that if it comes to continuing the phone lines or discontinuing them, I would request that we continue those phone lines. Yes, those phone lines may not be anonymous anymore, but it still gives the people in this community the opportunity to send in tip information that may help in an investigation. I'm sorry that we have to make this announcement. The whole board has problems making this decision, and it wasn't taken lightly. This decision was actually has been talked about for the last year, and it's finally got to the point where if we can't do press releases on a regular and consistent basis, we're not effective anymore. And therefore we made the decision to close. The program received tips on child abuse, adult abuse, school situations, warrants, B&Es, murders, missing people, drugs, just some of them. There's several more. And like I said, over the last 4 to 5 years, things have reduced to the point where we feel we are no longer inactive. We approached our software company to continue the programming. We had the financial means to pay for it. We approached them to do a 3-month contract or a 6-month contract so we could actually go out again to the chiefs' meetings, make the announcement, say, this is what we have to do. If we're willing to work with you, if you're willing to work with us, and maybe we could have kept the program in place. But with the software company says, no, you're done on July 31st. We had to make a decision in 3 days. And the decision was to not pay the money and shut the program down. So over the last 8 years, we received about 1,480 tips. Since January 1st of this year to currently, we received 80 tips in 8 months. That's an increase of what we saw over the last couple of years. Things kind of slowed way down the last couple of years, but the program is increasing. And we hope that that continues, those tips continue to come in for the sheriff department so they can look at things and hopefully solve more cases to make our community a better place to live. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Mr. Ungst.
First of all, I want to thank you and the whole team, Bill, for the services that you guys provided for over 2 decades. Me being prior law enforcement, I'm very familiar with the program and the benefits that it has offered. Sad to see it go. But you guys definitely deserve a pat on the back for all the good that you've done for the community, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
For the comments. I would also like to thank you and the organization for the work that has been done over the period of time to a level of success. Sheriff.
I just wanted to mention, and Gary hit on it a little bit, when we were approached that they were going to eventually phase out, one of the things we did is we created a sheriff tips email, sherifftips@lenawee.mi.us, we also started putting things in place so that our coordinator, which is Detective Sharp, would continue to get that information, and it would go through our records management system, or excuse me, our CAD system, and then automatically assign him that. So we wanted to make sure that those tip lines that are still working right now, that someone was paying attention to them, that someone was checking them, and our dispatchers still answer them, and they put the information in, and it still goes to the same person. So hopefully there'll be no lapse in service at all, but that's where we're at.
Very good. Further comments, questions? Thank you much. Is there any other? Certainly.
Just a brief comment. I was one of.
State your name for the.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bill Wise. I've spent the last 52 years in some way or another involved with the criminal justice system, and this is going to be the last when this closes down. But I want to thank everybody for all the support that we have had, all the sheriffs, from Sheriff Richardson right on down to the current. We have enjoyed a very good relationship, and rest assured that I, for one, and I'm sure all the other people on the board, will continue as much as we can to support law enforcement in Lenawee County. And I was one of the charter members. I think I said that, but anyway, it's kind of a sad day, but I just want to thank you all, and on behalf of everybody on the board, thanks.
Thank you, Bill, for what you have done for the program. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
It is moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same